we have seen cases where they move house and they felt like everything went wrong.
Can you help me confirm whether I was being made a fool or...
Where is the money coming in from? I don't want to pay you until I see results. Actually, don't need lah. You don't need to do all these things. We want some conflict energy to happen. We should find more, guys.
My dog keeps falling sick. I think I need to change my dog's feng shui.
It's not receiving any sunlight even on a bright day itself. Just walking in there makes me a bit uncomfortable.
Maybe let's talk about like the topic that all of us also want to know about lah.
Are there any general do's and don'ts that homeowners or potential homeowners can do?
I think the most important thing from a feng shui point of view is to have a bright foyer area. Because this is the entrance to our house, we want to come into our house and receive yang energy. Especially for houses, this is a young residence, so this is for the living, right? So you want to come in and you want to have a bright, comfortable feeling when you walk into the house. It needs to be welcoming. What we always advise is to brighten up that space a little bit, don't make it too dark. The other thing I think is important is to make sure that your layout is walkable around the house. I've seen some layouts where navigating around the space is very uncomfortable. Feng Shui, like I say, it's all about receiving energy, making sure that it flows properly in your house before going out. If the energy comes in and it feels very confused about where I should be going, it doesn't make sense, then I would say it's not very good feng shui. Specifically for the next 19 years, so we have a 20-year luck cycle. The north and the south corners of our house are becoming very important because the best energy is coming from the south and north sectors. So I would usually tell people in your living area, make sure the north-south axis is unblocked, right? Say for example, if this is your north corner, this is a south corner, you don't want to build something to block the energy. You want to open the channels and energize the two corners by putting something that is brighter, living things and stuff like that. It's the most basic thing you can do and have the most immediate effect. And if you are sleeping, you don't want to have mirrors facing you, you don't want to have sharp corners like pointing straight at you. I would say avoid mirrors that are facing outside of the house because you don't know what kind of energy you're bringing into the house.
You're not reflecting it back to them.
You are, but you're also attracting them into the house. Like, imagine if you are living on the first floor, your neighbor walks by and then the mirror is there. It feels like your neighbor is walking inside your house, right? So it's attracting energy into your house that you don't know. So try not to have mirrors facing the outside of your house, especially if you live in a very cluttered area lah.
What if it's like, you know, those window film that's like kind of reflective, does that still count as a mirror?
If it's not very reflective, usually I would say it's okay. The more reflective it is, the more I will not want to have it lah. You might have heard simple feng shui things like don't put the mirror at the end of your bed. Because when you wake up, you see your own face, you might get scared, right? Or don't sleep under a beam. All these are good feng shui advice. I would try to follow those.
There's things like your feet should not face the door of your bedroom.
Okay, the feet not facing the door part really depends on how near the feet is to the door. If your house is very, very big, the way the house is laid out, it's impossible not to have the feet facing the door. Directly facing is no good. To the side, I think it's still okay. It depends on the space itself, right? Sometimes when you give very general advice like that, it could be misconstrued and then people are very worried, right? Oh, I cannot see that door, but my feet is kind of pointing there. I don't want people to worry too much. As long as you feel comfortable in that space, like have a door directly facing you while you're sleeping, it's definitely uncomfortable. So when it's uncomfortable, then don't do it lah.
One of the most common practices that I believe all of us
Everyone.
have before is rolling a pineapple into the house as soon as you open the door. Where did this practice come from, and is it true that where the pineapple lands, right, that spot is the hot spot?
I think when it comes to the pineapple, it's something that I don't find in the history books of feng shui, but would I do it? I'll do it. Okay, it's at a certain place. I will also put a circle around it and tell myself this is a good corner. So there are some practices that honestly I cannot find the basis in feng shui. Would I do it? I'll still do it. I think the most important thing from a feng shui aspect is when you start renovation and the date that you move in. To me, those are really important. The dates are one of the factors that Feng Shui masters look at very carefully. What should you do on the day itself? The only requirement from Feng Shui master is to knock around the house. So the knocking around the house before renovation we call kai gong, groundbreaking. To us is very, very important. The groundbreaking needs to happen and the date and the timing has to be selected very carefully. Whether you bring charcoal in, you use pomelo leaves, all these things, to me is all extra. I cannot say it's got to do with Feng Shui, but these are more traditions that our forefathers passed down to us. They tell us ong lai sounds very hot. In some cases also can win you a presidency, right? Oh yeah. I guess it's not so bad. So when you hear about these things, you feel like it's no harm trying it, right?
I'm quite sure you've been to like thousands of houses by now, right? So what is at the top of your head right now, the most memorable one you've been to?
I have seen some houses where I walk in there, I feel like it's not receiving any sunlight even on a bright day itself. Just walking in there makes me a bit uncomfortable. Some people really like houses like that. I guess really it depends on your own energy. Some people like very dark environment.
The dark energy.
Yeah, some people really like it. And sometimes you look at their chart, actually a dark environment might be better for them also.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I think it really depends. It's not all Feng Shui masters will tell you, oh, big bright house is always the best. Some people are not very suitable for big bright houses.
They got astigmatism, then it's like too glary.
So to me, it's tailored to person, right? I went to a house recently. The moment I walk in, I was like, I felt shivers. And I've been to so many houses, and this one really, I walk in there, I really got shivers and I felt very uncomfortable. So I told them, like, I feel uncomfortable coming into your space. How do you all feel after living here for a few months? He said, yeah, we feel very uncomfortable, but we cannot put a finger to it. And then we walk around with the compass, and there was this particular room where the needle was just like going a bit mad. We told them that we are not the experts of this, so maybe you could call this person to treat this problem. This is not within my realm of expertise anymore. Yeah.
So do you have context with like all religion kind of?
Our practice is quite circular. I cannot say that for all Feng Shui masters, but we ourselves, we keep to what we know and we don't try to interfere or give advice in the areas we are not very confident in. Say for example, if you ask me, I have an altar where I am worshipping a kind of God that I personally don't know, then I'll say maybe speak to your religious leader. If you ask my advice, I would say from a Feng Shui point of view, this is a good direction, you can put it there. But what you do on the altar itself is really completely up to you.
Have you experienced any properties that so-called could not be saved? Or is there always a counter element that can
I think there's always a counter, but I always tell people that if you select a good house, I have less work to do to enhance it. But when you have a bad house, then you also must be prepared to have more countermeasures. Which means that some of your furnitures are going to place at an angle, and then you probably need to use odd colors, and you probably have clashing themes within the house itself. That's why we say before you buy a property, it's best to speak to your Feng Shui masters lah.
Does having like a pet in your house, say like dogs or cats, does it change like the Feng Shui of the house, or like does Feng Shui also affect them?
I think living things all carry energy. Having living things in the house, and this could be a plant, this could be a fish, can be dogs and cats, birds and stuff like that. All this we have to take into consideration. But would I look at their birth charts? There's no way lah. Some of them are adopted, right? You cannot tell. But we will also tell you, oh, this sector is better for the living things. There are some sectors that if you put anything living, it's probably not going to survive very well. And this can extend from a human all the way down to a plant. We will say, oh, try to avoid this area.
Have you ever been asked to do a reading for a pet?
We have requests like that, and then we will tell them, there are animal communicators that you can go to. I really don't know.
You say, my dog keeps falling sick. I think I need to change my dog's Feng Shui.
Yeah, we have requests like that lah. Trust me, like if you are working on our hotline, you hear a lot of different requests.
Or like maybe they ask you to, where's the best place to put the dog's bed so that the dog will...
Which we will also.
Right.
We will also give them advice. It's like, oh, this is best for if you want to put a cat fountain, this area just happens to be good for water. If your pet wants to sleep in a certain area, this is a good area for the cat to sleep in. Before we work with our client, we always have a very comprehensive process of understanding their needs, right? And then we need them to let us know what kind of furniture you have at home, what kind of living things you have at home. Do you have a lot of plants, or do you have a lot of animals and stuff like that? We ask all these questions.
Does like home and office feng shui differ?
Different offices, they have different priorities as well. I mean, I have some businesses who tell me, oh, business is too good already. We don't need more business, but we want our service standards to improve. And then there are some offices like having business is very important. A lot of time businesses, they care about money. Families, they care about health, they care about harmony. You know, making sure that you get along with your family members and kids getting along with their parents are very, very important, and education. So the priority is very different for house and offices. But for offices, I think it's more varied because office, you have different problems, right? So after we move into this space, a lot of people keep falling sick. Health is our priority at this point. The way we set up is also very different. So sometimes at home, we care about how the elements work together in harmony to create a more stable energy. But when it comes to offices, sometimes we want some conflict energy to happen. When you have conflict energy, then you are energizing the sector more to activate the stars. These stars might not be very good for harmony, but it's very good for competition. And because competition helps to improve business, sometimes we will deliberately set a formation that gives them a bit more competition.
So what I'm getting is that I should start more conflicts with my colleagues.
Yeah.
I
We should
think
fight
it
more
really
guys.
comes from the point of view of the management, right? I mean, sometimes they want healthy competition so everybody can do a bit better and be more motivated to do a bit more, right?
With more people like working from home, right? How should their workstations like be set up in each space?
So I think one of the biggest phenomena we see after COVID is that everybody now has a study table at home or a study room at home. A lot of times we would not touch the macro feng shui of the house. We will set up more of a table from their own birth chart perspective. What is your best direction? What kind of energy should you have in your immediate surrounding? If you're taking a Zoom course, should you angle your screen to a certain directions? We do have this kind of request. A lot of offices have moved from permanent sitting to hot desking. And then you also have clients who come in and say, hey, I get to select which table I go to in the morning. You also get a lot of officers telling us, oh, you treat the general area as a general area, or you don't really have to look at their birth charts anymore. We only look at the birth charts of, a few executives in the office.
Maybe we want to let our viewers know, how will the year of the snake be?
It's going to be a much better year than the year of the dragon. The year of the dragon is, from a feng shui point of view, a relatively tumultuous year because this dragon is a wood dragon. Dragon itself is an earth sign zodiac. Wood and earth are clashing elements. And then the dragon year also happens to have some fighting stars. But 2025 is quite the contrary. It's a very long year. There's this saying in feng shui, when you have 2 springs in a year, is a good year because Chinese people, we believe spring period is the best period. So between the Chinese New Year in 2025 to the Chinese New Year in 2026, you have 2 Li Chun. What is Li Chun? Li Chun is from the Chinese solar calendar, the first day of spring. So when you have 2 Li Chun, in feng shui we call it Shuang Chun Nian. Shuang Chun Nian is a good year. And then you also have an extra June or Ren Liu Yue in the lunar calendar, which means that it's a very long year. When it's a very long year, usually from a feng shui point of view, it's very good. Plus, this is a wood snake. Snake itself is a fire sign zodiac. So wood and fire, they work very well together. So to me, 2025 seems like a very good year, or at the very basic, a much better year than 2024. I think 2025 is more good for the general well-being of people.
In the general sense of like those finding love lah, or like getting married lah, you think the spring year is a good year?
I think generally Shuang Chun Nian also means that more people will get married. So a lot of people are already selecting date to get married. They're waiting for themselves to get pregnant or already planning their pregnancy. Shuang Chun usually means very happy. And then I think 2025, generally people are happier. So to me, it's a very good year lah. Quite excited about 2025.
I wasn't very excited, but you definitely got me quite excited.
Yeah, now I'm really curious for
I'm
the.
ready to do something different this year, man.
Yeah.
This
I'm ready
is
to
the
matchmake
year.
all my friends, my single friends. But like, this is a good year, guys.
Yeah.
You want?
It's
Better
a
start looking
double
now.
spring year.
Okay, thank you so much for today, Mark. Maybe before you leave, right, you want to tell our viewers, right, like where can they find you, or what kind of services,
We have more kinds of services. We have baby naming services, we have wedding date services, we have live reading services. We do feng shui for commercial and residential properties. Even if you have properties overseas and you don't want to fly us all the way there, we have online feng shui services as well.
So if you'd like to find out about anything real estate, do check out PropNex.com, PropNex Picks, where we have weekly articles about fun and interesting topics within the real estate sector.
And if you like what you've seen today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one.
See you!
Bye bye.